So it must be Sunday, and it must be around 8 o'clock, and it must be Let's Kill Twitter. So welcome everyone to the show that lets you detox your timeline with the art of conversation, or your money back. This is the safe space, or fairly safe space, in which we unpack Twitter, all that is good and all that is bad, and we definitely have a mixture of both. The light and shade of what's been going on Twitter in the last, say, week or so. Plenty going on. Got plenty to suck into tonight. And with me doing that, as ever, is my co-host, Sajeela Kershi. Hello, Sajeela.
Hello, Julian. Hello, world out there. Hello, Twitter land. Hello, Facebook. Are we going on Facebook? We're going on the YouTube. All of you.
On the YouTube.
On the YouTube, yeah, because
Sounds so much like my northern mother.
Down with the kids. Look, as you've seen, I've been rebelling against our LKT background, and I've just put like flowers instead to kind of get a little bit of the Valentine vibe to show that I'm not totally against bar humbug love.
Yes, I had almost forgotten. Yes, happy Valentine's Day to those of you who are watching. Very quick housekeeping. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, on Twitch, and on YouTube, then you may notice that we are not formatted in the lovely quad that we are about to unveil. You can join us. You've still time to join us through the Eventbrite link. Just go to Eventbrite. I'll post the link on YouTube and Facebook as well, so that everyone knows. Well, not that I haven't posted it a million times, but everyone knows where to go, as it were, in the nicest possible way. And then you can come into the room. You can ask questions. You can make comments. You can do all these free, fantastic things that you cannot do on YouTube and Facebook at the moment. But please enjoy wherever you are watching us from. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Carmen Lynch, live from New York City. It's Sunday night.
Hi. Hey. Hi, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day from Queens, New York.
Oh, fantastic. Now, Carmen, people may well have seen you from various appearances. Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, the Tonight Show with Stephen Colbert, Conan you've been on. You've got your own fantastic podcast, The Human Centipod. Really thought I wasn't going to pronounce that correctly, but I have.
Oh, you got it.
Got it. And you've got a fantastic album as well, Virtually Obese. What haven't you got, Carmen?
A special. I think I need a comedy special on Netflix. So if anyone's listening, you come on.
Big, massive hints dropped. Fantastic. And just quickly, what is your COVID status out there at the moment?
You mean our city or me?
Yeah, well, I mean, the city mainly. Well, both.
I think I'm okay so far. The city, I mean, we're still struggling. You know, a lot of people haven't gotten their vaccines yet, but many are. And we're still no indoors, no, whatever, indoor dining isn't really happening yet. So there's a lot of people walking outside with masks on.
Yeah,
just
sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Thanks for the update. Sajeela, would you like to introduce and unveil our next guest?
Oh, yes. Firstly, thank you, Carmen. It's lovely, exciting, because we should add, we've got Carmen all the way in America. It's our first transatlantic show, Julian. That's
why I said live from New York.
No, I know, but it's still exciting. I think we need to keep repeating that, because this is very exciting, and things that we didn't do before lockdown. So there's some of the positives lockdown. And next guest, I've worked with him many years. I actually haven't seen him for many years since he's become a dad. But he's the fantastic Tinian. Yeah, everyone! Woohoo! You're a comedian, writer, podcaster, and you've added here always a tired dad, but you don't look tired. You look like you're actually excited to be here. So thank you all for coming. And of course, I've known you from Comedy Club for Kids, and my son has come through your hands. Comedy Clubs for Kids, and he's now an adult in his own right. So,
that just did not sound right.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't like the way you phrased that, but it is otherwise. Yeah,
that's here with me. He probably remembers you, because when you did Comedy Club for Kids, I got him to do one of your workshops and stuff. You don't remember him?
No, I've got no. Yeah, I don't remember anything.
He remembers you.
I think the past year, where every day has felt like the same, just longer. I've got no clue of anything that happened before, but I'm very pleased that he enjoyed it. That's very nice.
No, he did. And of course, we mustn't forget your own podcast. I know you're a support act for Frankie Boyle. If you're watching from anywhere else in the world, Frankie Boyle's a huge deal here, so it's a huge deal to be able to support him. And of course, you've got your own political broadcast. which is one of the Guardian's top political podcasts of 2018.
Yeah, but hang on, I just want to justify it was in 2018. They haven't done a list since then, so I think it still counts.
It still counts.
That's what I'm
Totally.
banking on. They haven't done a 2019 or 2020 list, so I think it's like I've kept the title. That's what I'm going for anyway.
I think you have to keep the title until somebody says you can't have it anymore. I think you get to keep all these titles, because when you win these awards, I always think like, how long can you keep talking about them? You know, it's like.
It depends on how many Edinburgh shows you're going to do, because I just put all like you need them for the posters, otherwise. For as far back as they go, even things that aren't relevant anymore. I nearly always think of like the judo bronze medal that I got when I was 8, and I should just stick it on there, just in case. It might drag someone along.
Oh my God! So have you got awards, Carmen, that you'd like to share about?
Oh my gosh! I think I got one in softball once in the like 6th grade. I won a couple of those like, you know, comedy contests when I first started and open mics years ago, but I can't think of anything I've won recently. You know, now I'm just trying to love myself.
I won £2.50 on the lottery on Friday. So
Woo!
Yeah,
that's a
Drinks
win.
on me.
Yeah, that could go on your next Edinburgh poster.
That's it.
Yes.
Actually,
What about you, Jules?
What about me? What's the question? Sorry, I was just
so say, have you got any wins that, you know, some obtuse wins that you've had in your life?
I do remember, like, my first trophy. Like, everybody wants one of those really tacky kind of wooden plinth, metal structure kind of trophies. And I do remember that we were second in our five-a-side league on Friday night five-a-side league. So I mean, that's pretty much, you know, that was a big one for me. I'm still dining out on that one.
Can I check how many teams were in it? Because if there's only
there were about 8. Oh, that's sharp. 8. There were about 8 of us.
Okay, that's all right. That's good.
Could be. So we were definitely, you know, yeah, top 2. Tiernan, I wanted to ask just quickly, because partly political broadcast started a while back now, and I think the idea behind that was kind of like to diffuse political discourse, but we sort of found ourselves, I would say, in even more polarized waters. How are you charting those waters?
I don't know. I'm just sort of blindly sailing through storms. I think the reason I do it now is to stop me shouting at people in the park. And if I can put it on a podcast, it stops me just screaming at people, "We're all fucked!" If I can do that on a podcast, it sort of keeps me calmer. So it's terrible. These are terrible times, and I'm now trapped in doing a political podcast. I wish I could do an escapist podcast that was all calm, but I'm stuck. I'm stuck now. I've made my own bed, and I'll cry in it.
It's hugely successful, though, Tiernan. It's very popular, your podcast.
I like it because do you know? I think that there's a lack of. I think there's a lack of swearing about politics on TV, and I think that people really like hearing people go, "Oh fuck, this is fucked." Rather, can I swear on this? If I can't,
I mean, come on.
I thought I could, but just in case. But I think, like, genuinely, because TV is so sanitized in a way in terms of it has to be for lots of reasons, but we're in constantly swearing about times. Like, people need to swear about these things, and I think sometimes people find it quite a relief to hear someone just go, "Oh well, it's fucked again." You know, it's useful for them.
Carmen, your podcast, the Centipod, how did that come about? What does that actually mean?
The Human Centipod? Like, how did we come up with a name? Well, we were quarantined, trapped in my
legally trapped
in my boyfriend's brother's house. There were 8 of us, 8 of his family members. And there was so much running around, and everyone was just kind of on top of each other that we were like, where can we go that's secluded to talk about everyone? And, you know, and it was his mother's car. So we felt stuck together. So we called it the Human Centipod, which we got from the movie The Human Centipede, but had never seen it. We just liked the name. And then we would just go to his mom's car and just tape all of our episodes there. It's very silly. It's dark. We're both comics. He's a comedy writer for television. I'm a comedian. So there's a lot of back and forth, very silly, dark topics, but you know, we have a good time. So that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, it did sound like you having fun.
Do you get people who love the film listening to the podcast and being very confused?
Well, we kind of stated that has nothing to do with the movie. But it's funny, like I never thought about that twice. And then 2 weeks ago, my friend was like, we're going to see the movie. I was at her house and she's like, we're going to see the movie. And it was so disturbing that I was like, what did I do? Why did I call it that?
Yeah, it's a film that I remember catching halfway through, like, you know, late at night, come back from a gig. Oh, remember those days? And I was watching it halfway through it, and I was like, "What the hell was that?" It was so disturbing and awful that it was on the next night again, and I had to watch it from the beginning. And I was still quite traumatized, and I got really obsessed with it actually, and then just kept like thinking of all the scenarios of where would you be if you had to be a human centipede with 3 other people?
Well,
Would you be the middle, the back, or the front?
It's really frustrating because, you know, there are points where they're trying to save each other instead of just the women's decisions in that movie really made me angry. I'll just say that. Like they made them kind of stupid. And I'm doing a podcast next week with the girl that's in the middle. Like I'm gonna actually meet her on the podcast.
wow.
And I can't wait to ask her all these questions.
Does she bring the other two with her? Do you have to interview her while the other two are stuck there, or is that she just comes by herself, right?
Insane. And you know, the guy that sews them together, he's actually passed away in real life. But
which one passed away? Sorry,
the guy, the lead bad guy, the guy that sewed them up together, he died just a couple years ago.
Well, you know, kind of. Well, if you make something disturbing as that, mind you, he was only acting in it. He wasn't really.
No, I know. But I mean, there are 2 more. Did you see the Human Centipede Part 2 and 3?
Yes.
You did? Oh,
yes,
see, I was too traumatized.
Yes.
No.
Because I told you I was obsessed. It was. I just thought, how? And then I couldn't stop myself. You know, when you just think, I know this is wrong, but I've got to go in. I've got to go in the second. If there was a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I'd be there. I'd have to watch it.
All I saw in the synopsis was that in Part 2, instead of 3 people, it's like 12. And then in the third one, it's like 30. And I was like, I can't.
Wow, that's like a conga of horror. That is awful.
It's weird because we started the green room chat, Tin and I, talking about the fact that I'm very sort of pixelated and I've got this weird background pixelation going on. But Tin says that if I go back to 80s horror movies and I watch Nightmare on Elm Street again, which I found very scary, everything's weirdly delineated, he said.
Yeah, it all looks rubbish now. It looks terrible.
Childhood bad dreams shattered. Right, speaking of bad dreams, we should probably tuck in. Should we tuck in?
Okay.
Yeah. Did you want to chip in with something, Susanna?
No. I was just gonna say that's actually a good topic. That's a good topic. Bad dreams, or movies, even movies that you were petrified of when you were kids, but they don't scare you now. That's a good one. Mine was I think it still scares me now though, is the one that was scratching on the window. Salem's Lot. Do you remember that?
Ooh.
Is that
scary stuff?
Oh my God, you're too young. You're too young. You don't know what that is.
We just stood on a subcultural landmine there.
Oh God, yeah.
Let's talk about Trump, because I think clearly that's a good.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. I mean, I know, you know, obviously that the zenith of Trump is now passed, thankfully, but we are obviously just a day away now from the you know, the decision on the impeachment, which, you know, I have to say a little bit of a foregone conclusion that he wouldn't be impeached. We had a couple of tweets on that, which I'm now trying to find. Well, there's Jim Felton, sort of ginormo Twitter wit. It would be the polite way of putting it, Twitter wit. So, you know, just making the point straight off the bat, Donald Trump faced tougher action from Twitter. That's one of Sajila's tweets. And let's get a run of Trump tweets here as well. This is like a real shameless Desert Island Discs moment as I choose my own tweet, which I thought of this morning. And I'm so proud. Let's face it, Republicans were always unlikely to do anything that would prevent a man from playing golf, which I think it's a fair point. And then, Carmen, you had a smasher here somewhere. Where are we? Yeah, well, it's the man himself, Stephen King. Continuing the horror theme.
Hey, got it in there.
I expected, but still dispiriting. You Republican senators have voted to acquit. You suck. So let's chow down on the Trump. I mean, was anyone at all surprised by the fact that he wasn't impeached?
No, it's just infuriating. And I don't know if you guys use the same word for just weak people. Like, they're just pussies. You know what I mean? It's just, come on. Like, you're just worried about your career and your job, and you know it was wrong, and they just won't do it, you know? And it's predictable, but it's still it makes me so angry.
That mad thing as well. I was going to say that mad thing of like Mitch McConnell did this big speech that was all like what he did was wrong and something was bad, and then he voted not to acquit him, and you're going, like, what's wrong with your brain? Like, where's the disconnect where you can say all that and then vote the other way? Like, it's just I really wish karma was a thing. I think that's what the last few years have taught me, that I really hope that if he hasn't been acquitted, he'll at least fall in a well or something. You know, something else will happen to just give that he's not going to get acquitted, because what's going to come next is even worse for him. He'll get eaten by goats.
Prison would be lovely, like in the bathtub when he bends over to get the soap. I don't know. Like,
I don't think Donald Trump is going to be anyone's prison bitch. I just can't see. But oh no.
No, even if he went to prison, he'd go like the Martha Stewart way, like, you know, in his home with like one of those ankle things. And
I mean, I mean, it's going to be a pretty I don't know, it's going to be fairly easy prison time for him. I mean, I guess it's interesting because he's got some hurdles to be doing, because this is not by any means the last chance saloon for Donald Trump to actually face some kind of legal action, because, you know, there are apparently quite a number of cases, some of which are ongoing now and possibly may well turn up, about, you know, business deals and so on and so forth. I've certainly heard that there is more to come, but then if that happens, it kind of just becomes the Trump show.
Well, you also hope, like, because like his lawyers' speeches to the Senate were so weird, and the one where like they blamed it all on Antifa, and they said, "Oh, it's all an Antifa plan. That's who stormed the Capitol, really," which is going to be a massive surprise to all the Proud Boys that were there. Like, oh, we're Antifa. That's going to really fucking creep them out. But you know, like just these weird, someone else did it. There was something like, and for the Senate that might work when you've got people like Mitch McConnell who can't even make up his own mind. But in court, that's got to be hilariously weak, hasn't it? That can't go down well, where your only argument is someone else that did it.
I think there was a tweet, wasn't there, with the that I might liked it. It was like even Twitter's banned Trump, so like even they punished him. I think that was your
that was your Jim Felton one.
Maybe I didn't pick it, but it was and it's just, we were talking about prison. So if Trump goes to prison, what prison time would he have? So Donald Trump faced tougher action from Twitter. Yeah, exactly. But if he did, because I'm hoping that some of the sexual offences that he's been accused of by women actually come back to kind of now get him, because he should be paying for that. You know, and so one way or another, I do think he's not going to get punished. I think there will be stuff that will be happening to punish, but just for fun, what kind of prison are you seeing him, you know, face? What kind of prison life is it? Is it Shawshank Redemption? Is it Green Mile? Is it who do we want? What kind of prison centers do we want him to have?
I want him cleaning toilets. That's all I know. Just cleaning a lot of shit.
Swimming in shit like Shawshank Redemption, but actually just eating that shit.
Just making him caddy. That might be his idea of hell. Just making him a golf caddy. It's like putting him in a subservient role.
I mean, the fact that Twitter has removed him, though, is so amazing. Like, that must kill him, and I love that. I mean, we need more, but that was huge.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that, I mean, the tweet here from Jim, you know, I mean, it's Twitter basically had their fun with Trump, and then they knew that they could sort of ditch him after, you know, the president's, well, after the Capitol, calamity at the Capitol, as I still call it. Yeah, I mean, but I'm sure that is like a toy for him, and he's probably finding, I mean, if they took Twitter away from me, I would I'd be staring at my wrist for totally different reasons than I used to in the 80s. But there you go. It's you know, he's an odd character. I mean, when we had Eric McElroy on here for our first show, our trial show, so Eric moved from Seattle in 2000, and he's been over here since. His theory was that Trump would end up in sort of Dubai or somewhere where he had sort of massive business links, basically, and just start a new kind of empire from there. Well, carry on his empire from there. Because I think there's no extra. I think there was like a non-extradition treaty deal going on. So
you're making you sound like Professor Moriarty, that he just never just disappears and never comes. You know, we'll always just when you thought I was gone, I started a new Twitter page on Twitter. I have other followers, you know, or I am God, or now I'm in Dubai.
The problem is he's never going to really be able to like flee and hide, is he? Because you just like, he's so recognizable, that orange face and the hair, like wherever you are in the world. It's like Mickey Mouse in more ways than one. He's going to be spotted wherever he tries to run to. I also just don't think he's got the brain power to do that quick enough. You know, I think he's so arrogant that he'll try and fight all of this out and think that he can rise above it before he gets to sort of escape somewhere else. I genuinely think the worst punishment, I think we should all just like sixth sense him and pretend no one can see or hear him. And I think it would
it'd be nice if he had like one of those David Letterman beards, you know, maybe in a year.
You think with his hair like that, he couldn't grow a beard like that? It would be just weird.
I know. It would be like weird patches that went this way and that way. Yeah.
I mean, if he can make the next 4 years about him, then, you know, he's running in 2024, isn't he? Let's face it. I mean, he probably is anyway. But if he sort of sits there thinking, how can I make the next 4 years about me? I mean, if he can do it, flipping heck. I think I was thinking Letterman might be the key, might be the segue for your tweet, Sajeela.
Oh,
we get Lindsay?
Oh, yes.
Lindsay
okay. Yeah, because I was going about. Yeah, okay, let's do it. All right. So I saw a tweet, and first of all, I thought, oh my God, she's dead. I was really like, I was really gutted. I was like, this is awful. And they're bringing out all this stuff. So it's Lindsay Lohan.
Should probably play the whole clip, actually.
Yeah, there it is here. Yeah. If we could play the clip, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Anything that goes on?
I do.
Tabloid now?
Now here's what
May 2nd.
I was under the May 2nd.
Yes.
And how long will you be in rehab?
3 months.
How many times have you been in rehab?
Several.
And how will this time be different? What are they rehabbing, first of all? What is on their list? What are they going to work on when you walk through the door?
We didn't discuss this in the pre-interview.
No, but it'll be 3 months, and
no, I think to be honest, I'm the happiest when I'm working and the healthiest, and I think this is an opportunity for me to, you know, focus on what I love in life, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a blessing. And
do you have addiction problems?
now you sound like Dr. Phil.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Is it like alcohol? Do you drink too much?
We've discussed this in the past.
Oh, did we really? When did we discuss?
Well, because
I'm the one who's having the blackouts. What is that?
I'm just saying.
I ought to be in rehab, for the love of God. So now, when you go to the rehab, what do they do?
We're here for a movie.
We have to what?
Let's stay on the positive.
Oh,
aside from that side of the positive.
Yeah. All right. I have a list here of things that you've endured. Can I run down a few things here?
Oh, can I see them first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks.
You can read them or not read them.
Okay.
Up here are the
I thought you were going to be nice.
These are the appetizers up here. These are the main courses. There's your desserts down at the bottom. Those are the jokes.
Oh. And then it says, are you okay now? Are you okay now? It feels like people should be helping you. Do you have money saved? Therapy? Ask yourself, why always in trouble? You can't make a joke of it.
That's so mean. I'm not joking.
No, you're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Maybe one or two?
No, this is my show now.
So
Stop.
Oh, she's tearing up a little bit. God bless you.
I love you too.
There you go.
Right. Okay. So Lindsay Lohan, this interview was back in 2013. And it's kind of come up again because she's obviously comedians, they'll take a pop at people. But I thought this was just really cruel and bullying and nasty. And it completely, takes away from the fact that alcoholism or any kind of addiction is an illness. And I just think we've got, that might be 2013, but I feel like this is not okay. And I think women specifically kind of get into the position where it's, on chat shows or whatever. And I know we've got the the more fun side of Jackie Weaver, but being shut down, being made small, and and this is not punching up, it's punching sideways, and it's nasty to making her. So I just wondered what your thoughts were, and also what Lindsay Lohan, what kind of profile does she have? Because I think she was an amazing actress back in the time, and it's just that she fell, as many people do when they get success quite young and early and can't accept it. Well, other things that they get demons that take over. We're all susceptible to them. And is it right that if we are having a fall, and I'm thinking of in the UK, we had Amy Winehouse, and I just feel like it's such a tragedy because it ends so badly. But that people, how are we supposed to be as comedians, as performers, as writers, Julian? How should we, behave in these circumstances? Are we maybe part to blame when they kind of fall from grace? Are we responsible for that? Because I've had to be questioning myself about things like this, making jokes about people in the public eye, and perhaps thinking, that was okay at the time.
Are you asking me as the only non-comedian?
I'm asking you as a writer, because you are a writer as well.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe throw it over to the other experts before. I mean, I found it difficult. I'll be honest. My reception to that clip it is an uncomfortable watch. 2013, we had Twitter then, and it kind of, we didn't have some of the movements we've had, Me Too movements and all the rest of it, and some of the sensibilities that we now have. I guess we just didn't have them, but they were, if someone wanted to kind of create a fuss, they absolutely could have done on Twitter. It was absolutely ready. I mean, I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about when I first started using Twitter, was there this kind of snowball kind of pile on thing of a particular issue that would get reinforced. And to be honest, I don't feel like it was a bit like, I've had a cup of tea today, here's an article I wrote, and I mean, they're just my tweets, but whatever. So we've shifted a lot, even within the sort of short history of social media. I mean, I do remember the coverage at the time was that Lindsay Lohan was sort of yo-yoing out of rehab, and I just think that maybe the kind of the deaf ear to it was a sort of a kind of antipathy towards Hollywood as much as anything else. And this, obviously, that show is a very Hollywood in show. Those guys obviously know each other. They would have talked to each other before the show, and it definitely went beyond the limits of what she was sort of comfortable with. Not my favourite Letterman clip, I'll give you that.
But her PR would have obviously discussed it beforehand. Like, look, this is off limits. I think she says at one point, and so you surely should be honouring what the guest is saying. Look, I'm willing to talk this, and this, but I'm not going to talk about this. That has to, surely that those boundaries have to be maintained.
Yeah, but it's different being in a studio compared to being if your PR says that and you sit in a hotel room having an interview with them, then you can say to something that's off limits, and I won't answer questions on that, and that will be recorded, but it won't be anything like, unless if you're one of those stars who's willing to walk off or give a really monosyllabic interview to questions like that, then that's fine. But I think she still wanted to play the game, and she tries to sort of win it. Well, she does sort of win it round by taking the script off and just saying, "Oh, it's my show now." It's so much harder to stay on those kind of outlying rails when you're in a doing a live interview. Guys, what about?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I thought she handled it very well. I mean, I remember seeing this when it first came out, and I'm more shocked now, which means, obviously our standards have changed, because now I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that even aired. Like, that's crazy. But I thought she handled it very professionally, and then it was sad that at the end she couldn't help it but cry. And I'm like, why is he doing this to her? It's already hard enough to admit that you have to go to rehab, and she struggled so much. And I always want to blame the parents. I'm like, what did you do? Like, why aren't you around to help her? But can you blame anyone? I mean, she's getting she has a crazy career at a young age. Hollywood loves her. I mean, how do you how do you control any of that? It's really just, it's out of your control, I think, for the parents, for the child. I don't know. It's, look at Britney Spears. I mean, all these child actors have had so many problems. It's like you want to tell them not to do anything until they're like 25.
It's all the stress of it. Like, you know, I think it's underestimated how much stress, even though obviously we all think it's like glamour and what an amazing lifestyle, but you have to like do shoots starting at whatever time in the morning to whatever time at night, and then you're straight onto next one, and you're always moving around, and like the pressures of life, I think you never get a breather, you never get time to yourself, and I think that must have really bad damage on your just mindset and probably mental well-being. And I think that we're so caught up in the glamorization of Hollywood that you sort of forget, and just celebrity life, I think, that we sort of forget that it sounds like, it sounds a bit like, oh, poor celebrities, but you know, it's I do think sometimes that we don't take that into account. We had that all here with like on a very different level, but like all the people on Love Island that end up committing suicide after it because they suddenly have fame thrust upon them. And you know, I think we don't really think about that level. But I mean, that interview was just bullying. It's really horrible. It's really uncomfortable to watch, and I think she did handle it well. But I can only imagine that afterwards she was a bit of a mess. So it's not nice. There was a clip going around Twitter the other day that I'd never seen before, and I can't. This is going to be the most useless thing. I can't remember who the host was, but it was of a late night talk show host in, I think, 2007, and it was a clip of him talking about Britney and saying, "Do you know what? I'm not going to make fun of her because she needs help, and this is really sad, and we should be supporting her." And the person that sort of tweeted it said he was like the only one that was doing that.
Was that Kimmel? Was it Jimmy Kimmel? Maybe.
No, it was he was Irish, I think. Irish. I don't. Yeah. But no, I think he was. It was an American talk show, but he was an Irish host. I don't know who he was. But it was really nice to see. But I just always think that you're, like Sajeela was saying, that as comedians we do it, but we also need an awareness of like what's too far and what isn't, and what level you're punching out. It always seems really lazy to me. I always just think that if that's the best you can do, it's lazy bullying. You've resorted to that. There are other better gags or things that you can talk about, and other better routes that you can go into. If that's what you have to resort to, you haven't worked hard enough on it.
Especially for comedians, because so many of comedians have gone to rehab. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of empathy there, because it's a lot of us have addictive personalities. You know.
Well, a lot of us are very, you know, we are quite damaged people, which is why we do what we do. I mean, is it normal to go out in the middle of the night, travel for 3 hours, go and do 20 minutes, and then travel another 3 hours, get stranded in London? You know, that's not normal behavior. That's I don't know what I mean. I'm thinking it's similar in America. Obviously, it's just this is, and then you get hardly paid anything. Why do we do it? That's so. Of course, there's and then when you have got, yes, people in our industry who have addiction problems, we should know better. But then maybe that's why those jokes are coming out, because it's like, well, it's coming from a place where I know that I'm that kind of person. I do remember before Amy Winehouse passed away, there was one of the jokes of Edinburgh Fringe was about, it was a great joke, and I won't say who it was because it's not fair, I think, but it was if it's Amy Winehouse, you'd think she'd find someone else to harm. Is it self-harming jokes that think you'd find someone else to harm her? Something like that. At the time, we all thought it was hilarious and funny, and it won the joke of the Fringe. But now look back, and I'm horrified at myself that I thought that was, you know, and it's almost like we lived in this bubble where these things just happened. But now there's a lot more accountability and a lot more, you know.
Yeah, there's also, I suppose there's also that thing about like when you're at a gig and you've got an audience in front of you and it's live. We've always considered that to be a safe space where you can slightly boundary push, you can talk about things. And we've entered a world now where even those jokes aren't safe because they get tweeted, they get taken out of context, they get put elsewhere. And I'm not necessarily saying that joke was all right, but I'm just saying that, you know, there are comedians who've had their jokes that were part of a bigger set where they may have been self-deprecating, bounced off other things, talked about addiction, and then come back to that. And then that one joke's been taken out and everyone's going, oh, I can't believe you said it. And it's like, we used to have this as our space where we could test these boundaries and work out how to communicate about these difficult issues. And now everything is shared so much that I don't feel like you're able to test these things. I mean, no, even personally, I've got jokes that I won't put on Twitter because I already know that people are just going to respond to this in like the worst way. It's not worth me spending a day explaining, no, that's not what I meant. Like, you know, it's not worth it.
It's amazing how much every tweet comes with a price tag. It's like, this is, you know, this is going to be at least 2 hours of your life if you tweet this. Or
it's like there are little people out there just waiting to attack you for what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like when I post something on Instagram and then I post it on TikTok, and on TikTok it goes viral because of the comments, like, how dare you say, oh, you know, and then the other one has like 20 likes. It's like, there's just on different social platforms, there's people just waiting to get you.
I'm just wondering on that thread, and that note, there is who liked the Simon Evans, this is a great joke, the replies.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't sort of select it, but I think it's actually on the main feed.
Yeah, I just wonder if that was maybe kind of relevant to bring in at the moment about how, I mean, we talked about it with last time we did the show with Andrew Doyle and Aisha Hezrika, how people can literally take joke here, yeah. So, you know, and
my God, we're going off road. Carry on. Carry on. Hang on, people. So, do you want me to read it or?
Go on.
I don't mind. But so Simon Evans, the comedian Simon Evans, he's responding to a tweet from Tory MP and Tom Tugendhat. I'm not actually sure if Tom's not a chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee. That's right. I knew he had a title. So the picture, so the original tweet is Tugendhat obviously did military service. My 4-year-old daughter just got a Valentine's Day card. This photograph is posted here for Louis. Yes, you know who you are. So he's playing protective dad, isn't he? That's what I'm getting from that joke. And Simon Evans, this is a great joke. The replies make me worry for this country, not least some of its professional humorists. Funnily enough, the first one to pop up, was one of the first ones to pop up was Jim Felton, but now he seems to have gone, which is a bit annoying. That's probably because there's been more replies since last night. But basically, I suppose we can talk about the merits of that joke. Well, you can talk about the merits of that joke while I find Jim's tweet, actually.
Over to you, Tiernan, seeing as you're a dad as well of a girl, aren't you, daughter?
It's yeah, I do you know, it's not so much a joke. I think it's Tom Tugendhat is a really awful Conservative MP, and I feel like it's this thing of, it's more that there are MPs who are basically very happy that 100,000 people have died of COVID, and then go, I've made a light joke, and everyone's like, no, fuck off. Yeah. Not from you. I'm not having this from you. if someone funny had put this, and because a lot of people complaining about it sort of it shows toxic masculinity because he's there in his army gear with a gun saying, I'm going to shoot the 4-year-old kid that sent the Valentine's Day card to my daughter, and it's again that thing of the context of a Tory MP is tweeting that, who is responsible for toxic masculinity, and so much that their party does, and so much their party does is violence towards people, is discrediting people's lives, is not caring that people die. I think had it come from someone else, we might have taken it in a completely different way. But there's this, I don't know, I feel like there's this real weird disconnect in a lot of politicians' heads, where they seem to think that people won't pay attention to how they vote and what they do to the country, and it's absolutely fine. Then when they do a light-hearted tweet in the midst of a global pandemic that they're not dealing with properly, and actually people are exhausted and don't want that shit from him. They want him to fucking do his job and do it I don't even think it's to do with the joke. I think it's to do with him and who he is and what he stands for.
I mean, it's interesting. Right, so what you've done there, Tin, and I sort of take my hat off for you to some extent, is in the most very kind of what's the word, sort of reasonable way and reasonable tone, have painted the worst possible picture you can of the Conservative Party and all of their MPs, essentially. I mean, and I consider myself a progressive voter, but I certainly don't consider myself a party hack, because having sort of had dealings with all of them, I can tell you, not for me. And I think if I mean, this will now lead into the Rishi. There's so many tie-ins tonight, because the Rishi tweet is also from Jim Felton, whose tweet seems to have dropped off here. In terms of like, how much do we actually? It's a difficult time for MPs to try and humanise themselves. That's a very good point because of the pandemic. But I mean, I take issue with the Tory party as a kind of death squad. I don't vote Tory, but I do take issue with that.
Well, I'm doing hyperbole, but we're in a situation where a lot of people are dying. Is a very serious time, and I think that what they're very, very bad at consistently, and I mean actually MPs across the board, all MPs, there's really very few that have got a good sense of humor. They're very bad at knowing when to time a joke and how to put it out there without sort of reading the room, and it's consistent. I mean, if you think Boris is horrific for it, in that, you know, Johnson did that joke about Operation Last Gasp when it was about more ventilators for hospitals, and it's like, even if you're saying that in a back room, in a green room, that would be fine. Like, you don't say these things out loud from your head where everyone can hear them. It's a complete.
You do if you're Bojo, but yes.
Well, you do.
Very good point. I can see a career in tweet consulting here, very lucrative.
It's often what I think about RMBs, and I often watch. I don't know why I put myself through Prime Minister's Questions and all that, and I watch them talk and I watch them try and deliver jokes, and I just think I know 600 comedians who would do this better and also get the point across better in what they're doing. And considering that your entire job is to communicate to the people and put through policies to people, they've got a complete lack of communication skills. It's terrible, and I just, that's what I think about this. You know, and I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what Carmen thinks from a cold point of not knowing what he's, you know, what this Conservative has done is a very different thing. But I just think that, from my point of view, if I see just a Tory try and do a light-hearted tweet at the moment, I'd say, I'll get fucked. Absolutely get fucked. There's like 3 million people that have had no financial support, 120,000 people dead that you haven't helped. Like, I don't want your light-hearted joke right now. Do some fucking work.
Well, maybe we just don't want politicians to be saying their jokes, because we've got comedians for that. So don't come over here taking our bleeding jobs. Stop that now.
Slightly protected attitude that Trump would be proud of.
Even if you're not a politician, like, you know, maybe just don't tweet if you're a certain person. Like, I forget, but I was watching The Mandalorian, and I think one of the lead characters just got kicked off of season 3 because she tweeted something, and I'm like, I would kick myself in the butt for even tweeting. I mean, I wouldn't tweet that, but like, you're doing well. Like, why even? Isn't there like a little bird in your head that's telling you this is probably not a good idea? Just stay off of Twitter. Like, how hard is that?
Yeah, where's the filter? That's what it was. Gina Carano, wasn't it? And she tweeted, I think, an anti-Semitic tweet, and that was the same. I think you've got a career with Disney. You've got a career in Star Wars. Like, why would, even if you've got this in your head, why would you say it out loud to the world? Do you not have?
But I'm not sure. I'm not entirely.
Call a friend and say it.
I'm not sure, and I tell you, I'm no defender of anti-Semitism. I'll tell you that right now. But I'm not sure that tweet, she compared something to the Holocaust, which I think is always clunky and always, but it's not inherently. She wasn't saying, she wasn't saying that, that it was as bad, or she wasn't. But she prefaced it in a way that she acknowledged how bad the Holocaust was. But it's clunky.
She's also someone. She's, and to be fair, I don't actually know the tweet content. I saw she'd been kicked off, but she'd also been accused of transphobia before and homophobia. And so if you've had this on, people are going to be ready to have a go at your tweets already. And that's why, just in the back of your head, you should be thinking, I should probably be careful now so that I can keep this amazing career that I've got. Like, that's what I don't get. That wouldn't you just think I should probably just leave this?
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's a tricky one.
Err on the side of just being boring on Twitter, just, I don't know, tweet about your sister or something.
We're back to 2013 and tweeting about cups of tea, but that means no one would tweet about Lindsay Lohan.
That's so funny, Carmen. Just err on the side of being boring on Twitter. Oh my God, then there's
we'll just pack up and go home now. Then.
I mean, she already has a career. Why does she have to be big on Twitter,
Yeah, but that's like Donald Trump. In a way, as much as like he's a horrendous man, but when they banned him, I'll be honest, I kind of miss his crazy tweets. I mean, they just, because me and Julie were talking about this, and Julie said he's not even following him, but he felt like he was following because he knew exactly what.
Saw everything.
They could totally simulate his tweets by just getting someone to leave the caps lock on and headbutting their keyboard and tweeting it out, and it would be the same.
So you can, and again, it's a conversation we've had before, that you can look at tweets and speak to people and see what, that you're going to see people that you don't like, or stuff that they're saying that we don't like, as much as stuff that we do like. And I guess that's what we're here for, to explore that. Have we got Carmen's tweets? Have we had a tweet from you, Carmen, yet?
No, I
know, because yours have all been very, very funny. It's really interesting how I guess pick their tweets.
So yeah, which one's your fan? Well, actually, I mean, we could stay on the theme of Twitter, because one of them is Bunny McFarlane. People who apologise for not tweeting are 100% sociopaths even.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, she's very, very funny comedian. And it's true. Whenever I see someone say like, I'm going to be going off social media, I'm like, nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention to you. And then like, they're like, I'm going to be off for a month. And 2 weeks later, they're like back on. It's like, it's too much, you know, like we don't care.
Yeah, if they're lying about that, what else are they lying about? You've got to ask yourself, really. You know,
it's this desperate need to be missed, isn't it? Like, you know, that feeling of like, I better let everyone know I'm not going to be here, just with the hope that someone will respond and go, no, don't go, please don't go, we need you. And they never do. No one cares. Everyone gets on with their lives.
It's also on par with the Facebook, I'm going to be having a cull soon. So apologies in advance, if you know, but if you're still here, then you've made it. So I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Just delete me. You know, you're already annoying me. I want to delete you myself, you know.
Nothing is as bad as, oh, I'm not going to be writing my blog anymore. We don't care.
Nobody's paying attention to you but yourself. You know, it's like when you say at a party, does this look okay? Nobody's looking at your outfit. They're all thinking the same thing about themselves, you know.
Yeah, what was the equivalent of the real world version of that? Of, you know, I apologize. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna be tweeting anymore. What's the equivalent of back in the before, like social media? What?
I'm washing my hair.
I don't know if there is an equivalent, because it's just so attention seeking as well. But yeah, Carmen. So you would you have you ever done that? Have you ever been guilty of doing anything like that? Having a cull, then announcing it, or?
No, I kind of err on the less personal side unless I find a joke in it. I just I don't know. I just don't like to share, I don't know, my personal thoughts. Like that's why I have a therapist. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll tell my therapist that I'm going. I went off TikTok for 2 days because I was going crazy and I didn't announce it. You know, it just.
Well, but not all of us have therapists. This is it. So we have it. We have. Oh, this is all we have, Carmen. This is all we have.
Oh, that's sad.
And what about you, Tin? And have you ever? Are you, you know, to share? Do you kind of announce?
I try not to. There's been a few times where I've tweeted something and quickly deleted it. But I think I'm with Carmen. I try and go either I've got to do a joke about this, or I'm promoting something, or even then I'll try and do a joke about it. And then like I'm really conscious about, if I've even retweeted a few too many times or promoted too many, I've got to put several jokes before I can do anything else, because I'm a comedian. Like I'm not going to just post boring shit. Like, or you know, there's no point in me being on there if I'm not going to post something that is in line with my job. I
say something new as well, haven't you? Really?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the other thing. I'm going to get really boring for a second, but one of my main gripes with Twitter is that I feel like there was a good rule about jokes that I can't remember who came up with it, and one of you might be able to remind me. But the whole thing about your first thought, you should always get rid of your first thought because it's the same thought that everyone else has. That's your first joke. Same thought, everyone have that. Second joke is you trying too hard not to do the first joke again, so you should get rid of that as well. Always do your third joke.
Third joke, yep.
Absolutely thrives on who's done the first joke first, and that's the most popular. And it's really killed sense of humor. So it's like who's done the most obvious joke the quickest, that's the winner. And actually, the best jokes on Twitter are the ones where people have thought about it and gone, no one else has done this one. This is the angle that no one's checked with. And they're always the best ones. Absolutely.
That brings me to another point of comedians' jokes on Twitter when they're retweeted but without crediting the original kind of, you know, writers. Have you ever fallen to prey if someone's like quoted your joke? I've got friends who obviously this has happened to previous guests where they like, hang on, that's my friend's joke. How's that, you know, and you haven't credited this person, especially since we have no way of protecting our words, as it were. Have you fallen prey to someone taking your joke and not crediting you? Both of you, Carmen first.
I think someone told me that someone stole my joke years ago when I was like still really new, and I hate that. It does feel very like invasive, but you know, part of me, you just have to kind of let it go, because especially when I go to Spain and I go overseas and I go somewhere and I'm like, I will never know if someone does this joke better in their own language or whatever, it's almost easier to just say, you know, if you don't know, it won't hurt you, you know. And but it's a tough thing, because like even Ted Alexandro, he just went through this whole thing with SNL that he thinks they took his joke, and you know, a lot of people are like, this is totally Ted's joke, and other people are like, this is parallel thinking. So a lot of times you just don't know.
Yeah, it's about how if the wording's like exactly the same, then I find that really that cuts deep. I think if it's a similar joke, especially if it's about something topical, if it's the same joke but worded differently, I'm like, that's fair because something similar's happened. We could have, you know, this one event's happened, we're all tuned into it. But when it's exactly the same wording, it's like, no, you've just copied and pasted that and nicked it, and that is awful. Yeah, which has happened to me far too many times.
Yeah, I can think of one example of that. I'm not going to go into it, but I can think of one recent example that's sort of circulated around where, you know, even though it might not be verbatim, the premises are so close that, you know, you can tell really. So who's next? What's next?
Chin, do you want to give us a tweet, one of your tweets?
Yeah, I put a mix of, I can't remember what I did actually. What ones did I give you?
Hang on. I think actually yours, I think I put yours almost first on first. Let's have a look. Or maybe I did. This is the fun part, the edited highlights. Hang on. They are all clutched together, so they should be. Oh yeah. Hang on. Here we go. This is an interesting one, actually. Do you want me to? Do you want to read it out? Do you want me to read it out? Don't mind.
I don't mind. I'm happy to read it out.
I'm pretending that we're doing a podcast. Oh no, you read it out. You want to hear yours.
People can read it. I hope that if people are tuning into a show about Twitter, they are reading this from the screen. But that's fair. Anybody that needs an audio description. I'm thick as mince. I never went to uni. Grew up poor in a rough housing estate, and I managed not to be racist. So all this reach out to the working class stuff about mad old nanas in the shopping centre who think socialistic is a word does my head in. I did also like that somebody below her had tweeted socialistic is a word, but you know. It'd be interesting if this sort of cuts across to the States. But I always think this because of the amount of times, well, back in the day when you're allowed to gig, but you'd gig in all these places. Like I used to do loads of gigs in Barnsley, and Barnsley was always the Brexit voting place, the place that voted Brexit. And I'd always have these audiences that were like, no, we didn't, and we don't think that way, and we are. And I was doing them for different class groups, different groups, people in the arts centre, but also in the pub, and they'd be very mixed. There'd be like a handful of people go, oh, we did, but a handful of people go, no, we didn't. And it was like, everywhere's more nuanced than that, but we're constantly told it's not. And I find it really frustrating. I just find it constantly the frustrating narrative that this is what working class people think. You're like, no, they're all different individuals. They all think different things, and they, depending on where they are, what their lives are. Like, it's, you know. So I just thought this was a very good way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It didn't sort of occur to me. I mean, again, it's useful to someone's perspective and they're sharing it, but I hadn't realised there was a kind of pile-on to sort of necessarily blame you know, particular class for this. If anything, reading some of the, you know, the tweets after last year and the murder of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter, I don't really feel like a class issue necessarily. In fact, it was more about systemic racism, which is actually, if you're going to point a finger at any class, is not the working class necessarily that you point the finger at. But
are mad old nanas grandmothers where you are? Oh, okay.
I was going to ask
not bananas that have gone well off.
I wasn't sure if it was just grandmothers or if it was a different thing.
I was going to say, I think this is in reference to the Labour Party, so our main opposition here, Common, were basically saying that they're going to change their tactics to be all about being proud of the flag and going to like appeal to veterans, and they're basically going to be like a sort of the Conservatives, but not as good. So people that vote Conservatives will still vote Conservatives, and people that vote Labour won't vote Labour because they'll go, well, they're too much like the Conservatives. It's the most ridiculous tactic in the world. And there's a really good American political analyst called Rachel Bitterkofer, who's done a lot about Republicans and Democrats, and said every time Democrats try and be more like Republicans, people just vote Republicans if they're right wings. They're like, well, they do it better, and don't vote Democrats if they're left wings. They go, well, you're being moved to Republicans. It's such a losing tactic. But I think this is what this was in referring to anyway, and that, you know, this idea of reaching out to the working class, we have to be all flag shagging, and that's not necessarily, you know, just why don't you just say that you'll fund schools and hospitals and we'll like that.
I tell you, flag shagging, that sounds chafing to me, I'll tell you.
It does.
But there you go.
The pole especially, yeah.
Oh, I don't know about the American one. Stars and Stripes chafing you badly. I don't know. But Carmen, what's the equivalent over there? I mean, would because like the reason I'm asking is because do you have this whole the old nanas, you know, the racist grandmothers, like like everyone's got a racist grandmother basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the thing in America as well?
I mean, we don't leave it to the grandmothers. We just have a lot of people, and they come out now, especially because, you know, Trump really kind of let them out. But, you know, we have, you know, these QAnon groups and everything, and it's just getting worse. And I think like that Marjorie Taylor Greene is just an awful person. So it's not just the nanas, it's people, they're just coming out of the woodwork now. Maybe they were always there, and just social media and Trump have made them come out more. But
is there still a stereotype though that it's certain areas of America rather than, you know, it's the middle, it's not the coasts?
Like the Midwest. I mean, every place has, when you can leave New York City and there are clusters of people who are just, you know, I did a set in Long Island, and it was like, I said Trump once, and I dug myself in such a hole I couldn't get out. And I'm like, it was one joke, you know, at the beginning of my set, and I was trying to revive for the rest of the set. So they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They really are. It's sad. Like, one thing I've realized is I can't believe how many dumb people live in my country.
Don't worry, we've got dumb people in our country.
Really? Oh, they're so dumb.
Loaded terms, people. Loaded terms. I mean, yeah. Well, 70 million that's a lot. That's a lot of dumb people. I mean, that's the kind of, you know, that's the kind of allegation that we, you know, Remainers through Brexiteers or Leave voters. But, you know, and that wasn't hugely healthy. I mean, I was a Remainer, but I can't say I was always very proud to be a Remainer at times necessarily.
Is this mad insistence that everything at the moment has to be tribal? It's either or. You're either like,
very
until it becomes party political, like you are either Republican or you're a Democrat, and you go, well, there are some other parties, there are other ways to do things. You know, and it's here in Remainer. I found all I ever heard was it's dividing everyone, and the amount of times I'd speak to a comedy audience and everyone would be like, no, we're all bored of this equally. We don't care anyway, you know, like, we're all sort of, it's like there's a lot more nuance to life, and social media never allows that to show, but also I think voting doesn't either.
No, and it's funny because both sides have their problems, you know, and you don't have to pick a side of like which one has the worst. And Sam Harris is this great philosopher. I don't know if you know him. He's like meditates and all that stuff. And he said it very well. He's like, you can have cancer and heart disease. Like, you can have two horrible things. It's not just all one side. But now it's just like, if you're not on this side, you're on this side. It's crazy.
Well, it's not, yeah. Sorry, go on, Tina.
I was just going to say, also the voting system doesn't allow, you know, because like over here we've got a two-party system, and in the States you've got a two-party system. So it's always like, it's always like the least shit option rather than vote for what you actually want or what you believe in, and that then doesn't help polarize people. You know, I think that just causes it in a way.
But in the States, they've never even had a breakthrough moment where, you know, with the SDP and all the rest of it, you know, we've had it was apparently in the 80s they found that almost everyone had voted SDP, Liberal Alliance, at some point in their voting life, but obviously they've never done it all at the same time. But there was, I mean, okay, yeah, you know, I have to confess, I worked for the Lib Dems for a while, pre-tuition fees, I might add. But you know, it's a two-party system essentially, but we have had the illusion of choice, whereas you guys, you know, unless it was sort of Ross Perot maybe occasionally, you didn't have that, you know. It is literally you are one side or the other. But in terms of how that plays out on social media, I was thinking about the George Bush Jr. quote about terrorism, which was paraphrased to, you're either with us or against us. And weirdly, that seems to be how everybody on Twitter behaves, whether you're on the left or the right, you're either with us or against us is the kind of inner mantra, well, sometimes outer mantra that's going on.
Oh,
Case closed.
So talking of tweets, let's get another tweet. What have you got?
Tweets.
I think it's yours, Julian. Is it
It might be.
the Duncan Ballantyne one?
Yeah, it was quite an interesting one because I don't often tweet from the account, but I felt like I had to here. So we're back to COVID. Duncan Ballantyne from the entrepreneur known to UK TV audiences for Dragon's Den. I don't know if he's translated over to. He's not quite Trump. I suppose maybe is he our closest Trump figure, but certainly not politically. At least he hasn't gone for a political career. Yeah, I mean, he certainly hotels they've got in common. So he's out in Miami where he has a home. I'm in Miami. Restaurants, bars, hotels, gyms are all open. Neither death rate nor infection rate is much higher than the UK. Actually, it might even be lower. Why is the UK in lockdown? Which is, something I hear from quite a lot of people on Twitter, people I know. So I've heard this a lot, and I just thought, well, it's time, occasionally it'd be nice to punt a tweet out from the account. So my reply was, well, to get death and the infection rates down, no one would consider the current rate here acceptable, even though it's now thankfully going down because of, guess what, lockdown. We saw what effect opening up the UK had in December, the peak season for respiratory diseases, which is still not over. I mean, I know it's not a simple issue, COVID, and I also do understand that people have to sort of put the economic devastation on the map, but you can do something about numbers going up in a pandemic and not filling up the hospitals by having a lockdown, and then you can put the economy back on track to some extent by expenditure essentially, but you can't sort of, that's in your hands. So you've got to do what's in your hands to do. You can't neglect the health side of it for the economic side of it, in which is theoretically something is in your hands to do. I mean, I've never really understood the people that don't understand the concepts of numbers going up, essentially.
Also, Florida has horrible numbers, so he shouldn't compare. No one should be comparing themselves to Florida. Florida is sucks.
I mean, it just seems, I mean, I'm surprised that it is so. It seems to be so liberal in Miami. If the numbers are anything close to what ours were, I mean, he wrote that tweet however many days ago, 2 days ago, things have started to come down, but still at an unacceptable level. I mean, how are their hospitals not overflowing? I think he sort of gets into this, and one thing that I will say for him is that when I went down his Twitter feed, he quote tweet responds to almost everybody who's made a comment on that. He spent a lot of time, obviously got some time on his hands, answering everyone, which I was quite sort of surprised by. And it's done in a way that is largely not combative. I was dying for him to obviously reply to us, but I never got a reply. So I call that a win.
It's interesting that actually just the point that you from there about like people in the public eye who since lockdown have started to respond to people. I was saying, I think we had this conversation earlier with Julian. It's like Rich Hall when he joined Facebook, and he was like, "Is that the real Rich Hall? Is that real one? Is that?" Because he wouldn't be thinking, Jim Jeffries is back on. I shouldn't be naming names really, but yeah, people are coming back on social media and having those interactions that they were too A-listy for before, but now it's like we're so bored. I'll even talk. I'm going to respond to people. That's what I'm going to do. Maybe that's what, because I can't believe anyone's got time. I don't have time to go on Twitter. We've got a show about Twitter. I don't, so I think there's something quite charming about that people are responding to the people that tweet them. I think that's made me like him a bit more. But in terms of, America, I'm in my head, and I don't know, Carmen, obviously, better. I feel like it must be worse there, and I don't know why I feel that. I think because you've got Trump, I'm just thinking, we got Boris, and it's really been bad here. It must be worse. And plus, you don't have...
Yeah, I think the fact that Trump is off of Twitter has probably, he's such fodder for jokes, and no matter what side you're on. And I know for myself, because I'm not on the road, that if I get on social media too much, I go insane. Like my anxiety levels go up. So I'm not on it that much. I post and then just try to get off of it. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Everybody's on it, with or without Trump. It's kind of nice that he's gone, though. I'm sick of. I do it too. Like I'll retweet him with a quote and say something silly, but it's nice. I'd rather him not be on, to be honest.
I just always wonder, like, wasn't there must have been just such a relief that first night where you didn't wake up the next day to see if he'd threatened to nuke somewhere, like, because there was just always like at 4 a.m. he'd have on the toilet shouted something at somewhere, and I just can't imagine what it must have been like in America to wake up and go, oh, I don't have to worry what he tweeted last night.
Well, I think all presidents keep the codes. I think, like, so I think they keep their nuclear codes forever. I don't know. Like I heard that somewhere where Biden was like, we need to get these removed from Trump, even if he's no longer president.
Oh, Jesus.
But what does it operate? It must be some kind of like toy nuke kind of,
I think they do it so that, like, if somebody needs help, but you would think your ex-presidents would be helpful, but when you have someone like Trump, he shouldn't have access to anything anymore.
So do they just change, like every new president, do they change the code? Like when you get, when you get like a new PIN code for your card, for your,
I don't know.
your bank card.
They should.
Because I can barely remember that. So I don't know how he's going to remember the nuke codes, because they must be a bit more complicated. 8 digits, no, try again, and how do you get that 3 goes? And if it doesn't work, then you explode because like you were so stupid to get it wrong 3 times. I mean, how does the code work? The nuke code. We always hear about it, but I want someone to go inside and show me the background of the nuke code.
I have a feeling though, after like in a couple years or something, all these books are going to come out about how crazy it was behind the scenes at the White House. He almost did this and we had to stop him from doing that.
So looks like we're going to be wrapping up in a minute. So I'm going to just quickly, because I think we both loved this, and I'm hoping you guys saw this as well.
Oh God,
it's like,
yes.
so we might have got rid of Trump, but we have a new star
Right.
on the Twitter, which is, of course, Jackie Weaver. Now, did you get this across the pond, Carmen? It's basically, I'll let Julian tell you about where it originates from, and then so many things have come out from the back of it.
Yeah, so when I was tweeting about the show, Carmen, I was saying something like, oh, there are no standing orders on our Zoom events, and then I hashtagged Handforth. So what this was about 2 weeks ago now, I guess it must be, was a parish council meeting in a place called Handforth, which is kind of the Wirral area, isn't it? Certainly Cheshire area. And so it's like the lowest, well, it's the very small kind of parochial kind of council, quite sort of small level village kind of council type stuff. But the meeting was called by someone from like the main council body, and it was her meeting. She kicked off the meeting, and the guys that were on the parish council didn't like it. The classic line that's come from it is, Jackie Weaver, you have no authority here. So one of these old guys who was just on the council, who was basically saying, why is she running the show? This is my meeting. I'm the clerk of the meeting, and all the rest of it. There's a bit of toxic, old school toxic masculinity going on here. And then another one of the guys, a younger councillor, was questioning her authority as being chair, and he said, this line is, read the standing orders, and the standing orders being the kind of really tedious stuff that gets set up for any constitution. So it was basically her becoming a national hero by being really calm in the face of all this male screeching, essentially. And it was a whole hour meeting, and some guy who's a sort of political kind of quite a young guy who's sort of political spotted it, and then one of his friends or somebody he was in contact with whittled it down to 30 seconds, and then the whole thing just went viral. It just went sort of massive, and she essentially made a film trailer out of it. And everyone was, hashtagging Handforth Parish Council and just, cracking gags about it. So that's where we are on that one.
Basically, it's overnight. It's I think the equivalent is like Cat Judge. You had Cat Judge, right? So it just overnight has just made this woman massively famous. And I think we should play out on that. Is that Andrew Lloyd Webber has written a song about her. So this is just like a mumsy kind of, you know, I mean, she's not like, but she's now become like a feminist firecracker. She's got, you know, people writing songs about it. If they made a film, the Jackie Weaver film, who would play her? Would it be Britney Spears? Would it be Dame Helen Mirren? Would it be, you know? And it's just, it's been the two best things. And I think Julie agrees. Like the favourite things that have happened in the last couple of weeks is Cat Judge and this one, and it's kind of showing that comedians, us, we're kind of becoming redundant, really, because ordinary everyday people are becoming stars overnight without doing the circuit, without putting the time in. So we're out of jobs. And this is the Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Well, I'll play that in a sec. But Tina, what did you make of all of that?
I found it amazing that there was a way to make parish council meetings interesting. I mean, I thought it was very funny, but it is like parish council meetings are some of the most boring. Like, no one would ever be interested in it outside of, if it wasn't for, I think it was a sort of politics student, wasn't it, who found the clip and was watching it and found the one bit and knew the bit to choose and put it out there, which is amazing. But they are the most boring meetings otherwise. I think a lot more people are interested in local level politics as a result. So that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's a quite positive note to end on. Let's give this a little tinkle. I don't know how long the clip is. Woo! It's right at the end. Just hit the high note.
When you're stuck in a tunnel and you can't find your way out, thank the Lord there's a Jackie Weaver about. Jackie is our savior. She'll know what to do in the nick of time. She'll rescue you. Jackie Weaver, Jackie Weaver, Britain's answer to the American dream. Jackie Weaver, Jackie Weaver is the role model we all strive to be. She doesn't want a medal, just a nice cup of tea. Jackie Weaver, Jackie Weaver, Britain's answer to the American dream. Jackie Weaver, Jackie Weaver is the role model we all strive to be. She doesn't want a medal, just a nice cup of tea.
Hey! Gosh, you did that right at high note. I'm not sure.
Wow.
So Jackie Weaver the musical is about to happen, I guess.
Lockdown, anything is possible, isn't it? Let's face it.
But all I can say is, Tien, we're all struggling to write stuff during lockdown. We're not writing our best stuff.
Definitely.
What about you, Carmen?
Yeah, I'm trying to write. You know, I force myself. I can't say it's good, but I'm writing.
Okay, so listen, you had some funny ones. Can we get one of Carmen, because you are our first transatlantic guest? Can we get something? Once you pick your favorite one.
Well, that's my friend Adrian right there. Being heterosexual is homophobic is so funny to me, because you know everybody's so got their opinions and everything. I don't have to explain it, but it's just she's very funny, and I just thought that just made me laugh.
I think it's lovely that you're quoting all your friends as well. What a lovely supportive thing to do.
Actually, well, there's a mutual friend of Carmen knows her better, but Liz Mealy, obviously. I chose a tweet from Liz, and I know that obviously.
Oh yeah, that one was really good.
So my dad is 2 years older than my mum, and he's eligible for the vaccine, but she isn't. And my dad was like, "I'll wait for you," and she was like, "What? Are you crazy? This isn't the Titanic. Go get the vaccine. You're old.
That was actually a text between me, Adrian, and Liz. And Adrian, like, suddenly when she wrote that, she was like, Liz, that's a tweet.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it when people say that as well. I've had to say to acts before, I said, like, they put something on Facebook that's really funny. It's like, tweet, you've got to tweet that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh,
So,
we've got the inside story.
It's time to kind of almost wrap things up.
It is time to wrap up the show. I put my little screen behind me for anyone who's still with us on Twitch and Facebook and YouTube Live. Guys, I'm going to move my head in a really high-tech way.
buymeacoffee.com//let's kill Twitter. That's buymeacoffee.com/let's kill Twitter. And do buy Carmen Lynch and Tin and Jib and obviously Julian Hall and myself a cup of tea. What would be your favorite drink, Carmen? What would you be ordering right now in a cafe?
Oh, a nice latte with oat milk.
Oh, nice. What about you, Tin?
Yeah.
I became a sucker for a flat white, and I haven't had one since we haven't been able to go to cafes. I just need that. I need a lot of caffeine in my day.
Oh, I'm with you on the flat white. Julian, what would you be ordering right now?
It's totally black coffee all the way, from stovetop espresso, mid-size, Monmouth coffee. I can't remember how many shots are in that mug when it comes out, but you know, once a day. Thanks.
Oh, I do miss the coffees outdoors. I do miss them. It's not the same at home, is it? But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Carmen, all the way from America. Can I just ask, what's your background? What's happening? Are you? I'm spying. Are you at your home or?
Oh yes, this is my home in Queens, and you know, I'm like 20 minutes from the city, so I like it over here in Astoria.
I miss you. I keep watching. I'm like totally addicted. I really love Sex and the City, partly because I can see New York that way.
Yeah.
And even Gossip Girl was.
Yeah.
I love Gossip Girl.
You know.
My nieces love it as well. I love it. We've got something. This made me bond with my little nieces. They think I'm so cool because I like Gossip Girl, and I'm not so cool now. They're admitting it on live, on air, as it were. Carmen, what have you got coming up? Can you promote, and would you like to tell us about out there?
No shows no outdoor shows right now, but I put any Zooms and any social media kind of shows on @CarmenComedian. I'm crazy on TikTok. I make a lot of videos. I have an album called Vertically Obese available everywhere, and a podcast called The Human Centipod also available on all platforms.
Okay, go find Carmen Lynch. And what's your Twitter handle?
@CarmenComedian.
@CarmenComedian. And Tiernan, I'm going to ask you the same thing. I know you've created a comedy background for yourself there. And behind that, I'd love to see what's behind that black
Do you really want to? I mean, it's really boring.
Pull it down. Yeah, pull it down.
It's like a bed and a bedroom.
Oh,
it's really boring. That's why I made the background, because the room is so boring that it's less boring having a black background and making people think I'm sitting in a cupboard.
But yeah, that's okay. You can choose backgrounds like I do. I'll just get all sorts of different backgrounds. And tell us what you've got. By the way, we did discover something really wonderful. Carmen does comedy in 2 languages, in Spanish and in English. So please look out for that. And Tiernan, the first time I knew there was something there. But you've got, what are the roots again? Was it Moroccan? Your background?
My granddad was French, but we've just found out that recently found out that his parents, we think, were Moroccan or Tunisian. We're trying to work it out. And then my nan was from Russian, Polish origin, on my other side Irish, but I'm from North London. So
yeah, but it's still there. So all that mixture is still there. So what have you got to promote? Anything that you've got coming up? Anything that you'd like to tell us about?
I wish. I will be going to the same park at least 3 times this week and complaining about it, as my daughter spends far too long on the playground. If you happen to be passing by. No, I don't know. I'm doing my podcast weekly every single week because I hate myself. So it's partly political broadcast. I'm a sucker for punishment. And then, yeah, I will relentlessly tweet about anything I'm doing because I have nothing else to say. So I'll see you in 2024, I reckon, when we get out of this.
I know. What's your Twitter handle, Tin?
It's just my name, but you have to spell it, and that's like a whole new game for you. So if you just throw a lot of vowels into Google, and it might correct you.
Yeah, you've seen it here though. It's TIERNANDOUIEB, or I could do it the phonetic kind of, was it Tango, India, Echo, Romeo, November, Alpha, November, Delta, Oscar, Uniform, India, Echo, Bravo, bravo. So you did, yeah, bravo. You did it really well. Thank you so much for joining us, both of us. Carmen, what time is it there now?
It's 4:20.
In the afternoon?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh God, you've got the rest of the evening to go. We've still got time for bed here for Poot. Again, if you want to buy me a coffee, / Let's Kill Twitter. Is that right? buymeacoffee.com.
Oh, yeah, well,
/
just go to Buy Me a Coffee website and put Let's Kill Twitter in.
And you'll find us. You'll find us. When's our next show, Julian?
The next show is Sunday, the 28th of February. Oh, hasn't February gone quick compared to January? Thankfully. Sunday, the 28th of February at 8 p.m. we have political commentator Ian Dale and comedian and virologist Rialina. Obviously, she's getting credited quite a lot as virologist and comedian these days because of COVID. So they will be, those guys have already worked together on Sky recently. So I think they're going to be a good pairing. So that will be 8 p.m. On Sunday, the 28th of February. And we'll be putting out tweets to that effect shortly. And obviously, I'll be getting clips of this show up as soon as I possibly can. And in the meantime, follow us at LKT Zoom.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Hi, thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day.